Welcome back to the show that we do. Welcome back to Advantage in Paradise.
99 episodes.
What are we doing again?
Almost a year.
We're gonna
Well,
play Valheim.
I meant to say 2 years.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I just got done
Jesus
talking about
Christ.
it. Jesus.
By the Everflame.
Yeah.
Vanya.
King Everflame.
Incorrect lore here.
Everyone knows that Jesus Christ is another name for the Everflame.
Yeah.
That's locked in canon.
Just how many times we say Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, folks. Let's jump into our recap and some D&D. On the first afternoon of our Wigloam, the bitter shadow on a stairs dog, the Wayward Five descended the steps to the mirror within Brahm's home, or at least within whatever illusory realm the Pallid King had brought them to within Brahm's home. Here, he toyed with them, utilizing puppets and voices. He requested the heart to be given over to him, but our heroes would not be so easily swayed. These illusions came to a peak when Curon exposed the pallid mask he held to the presence of the Pallid King, who now taunted them in the form of a hanging puppet. Tendril-like arms crept from the shadows of the yellow hood to claim the mask. Upon heaving the mask away from the entity, the room grew more violent, as puppets of our heroes came to life to fight them. All this time, Scarlet attempted to commune with a shadowy entity clinging to the ceiling that looked like a dark storm cloud drenched in red lightning. This infantile Scathulum seemed frightened of the Pallid King's presence, but drawn to Scarlet and her defiled weapons. She went so far as to wield her corrupted dagger once again. As the Pallid King threw these simulacrum puppets at you, or against you, and all manner of tricks and creatures, it came to a head when he offered one last mocking gesture. As he mocked your attempts at controlling your fates, mocked the walls you all placed around yourselves, and mocked the prisons of piety and self each of you put up around yourselves. But sick of his poisoned tongue, the party engaged to silence this foul creature. A combat of both the body and mind proceeded, pitting our heroes against themselves and this horrid aberration. Sometime in the heat of this fight, Scarlet was able to make contact with the larval Scathulum lingering above, which joined the fight as the prongs of the black, the cursed blade that started this nightmare. But ultimately our heroes succeeded in banishing this vestige of the Pallid King, and they freed themselves from the illusory prison. And that's where we left off, each of you awakening in the cold and filthy basement of Brahm, free of this curse for now.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in this demi-plane, Brahm was splattered everywhere.
That is correct.
Is his splatter in the basement with us?
No, it's not.
Okay. Never mind then.
What is the sword doing? Am I still holding it?
Yes, the sword is still within your grasp, and it is doing much what it did at the end of the fight, where you see it sort of tendrilled out like a snake. The ooze kind of gently closing the blade down into its normal state.
Is it like attached to my armor? Or just in my hand?
When the blade is open,
Mhm.
it is attached to your armor.
Okay.
As you recall in the last episode, it actually, your armor, it's not attached to your armor, it's attached to your hand, because your armor actually recedes away from it.
Mm.
And then it replaces the armor with itself.
Well, I am trying to let it go. Don't know how successful it is. If it's just stuck because I still have my other deck. I've got a lot of swords at the moment. A lot of things.
If you try to drop it, it does drop, but it has almost the same effect
Thing
as
is
the
the
other thing,
dagger.
where it like you can see like some strings of ooze bleed out of the cracks and are attracted towards you.
I'm
Is-
gonna mage hand that and just kind of take it away.
Get it away. Get it away. Somebody needs to take this too.
Kieran will take the dagger and return it to the bag of holding. First,
Does the armor
looking
go
in to
away?
make sure there's nothing in
The armor recedes into your body.
Wiswick's gonna sprint up the stairs to make sure this is real life.
Well, you don't need to necessarily sprint up to the stairs because you can feel the frigid, icy winds blowing into the basement from the massive hole that you punched through it.
And how all the furniture is collapsed outside because of the
Yep.
reverse gravity.
Yep.
So,
And
from the basement, where did he smash the hole through?
so if you think of this as like a traditional brownstone that has
Yeah.
kind of like basically right next to the steps, it like cracked through the wall that would be there.
Yeah.
Um,
Timber makes eye contact with Sarathil and just gives him a flat face after looking around the room.
does he do this too often?
Yes, he does. We need a box or some sort of container for this sword.
I was gonna say, is there a scabbard that's on the floor somewhere in the basement that goes to the sword?
If you investigated around the house, you could probably see if you could find a scabbard for it, because there was a scabbard with it when Cal originally had it. So there must be one somewhere here.
I guess can I make an investigation check?
Yeah.
I'll just do it for the basement. I'm not gonna go
Okay.
for right now.
I'll check
Um,
upstairs for, just searching around for anything that might be, not really
Sure.
looking for anything, but, just looking for things that might be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. What'd you get for the investigation roll, Sarathil?
14.
I got a
14. 19. Okay. 14. Down here, there doesn't seem to be much down here anymore. There is the debris of like storage containers and stuff. You would notice the spiral that was here originally. The flesh and bones are slowly dissipating and turning to ash. Here.
I forgot something, and this may be nothing, but at the end of last session, you said that the yellow robes of the Pallid King were like tattering away.
Mm-hmm.
Could I have grabbed
Yes,
and would
Yes.
it remain?
it would.
Fantastic. Kieran is holding onto that tightly. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's actually a good reminder because I did forget, and I did specifically say that because I figured you'd want to grab one. The 19 for you, Wiswick. When you go upstairs, you can find that a lot of the stuff that's in the house is like, first of all, the upstairs reeks of chemicals. And it appears that all of that like sort of fungal growth has died in some way, but in its death is almost like decomposed into an acidic substance that is now kind of eating away everything inside the house because there was so much of that corruption. So you're just like walking into fumes and the sounds of sizzling furniture and other things. You are able to find what you believe is the scabbard for this. There are other scabbards laying about, but this looks the closest to the prongs of the black. And you traveled quite a while with Cal, so you'd at least recognize it once you find it. I'd say you would also find a magic carpet.
Ooh,
You would find the magic carpet from the auction house.
very cool.
And I'd say with that 19, you're able to just find it in time for this acid not to destroy it.
Ooh.
Awesome. Sweet find! And I run back downstairs to show off.
Nice job, Wiswick. Put it, just here. Give it to me. I'll put it in. I have to. Well, if Wiswick gives it to me. I point the scabbard out and then have the mage hand just like slowly stick it in.
Yeah, ever so carefully. You would notice, Timber, that the sword doesn't seem to have the absorbing power anymore, where it absorbs magic. That seemed to be a distinctly Pallid King effect, and not the prongs of the black.
I'll see that this gets taken care of.
It's very interesting.
Just want to let everybody to watch their step. When you go upstairs, it's kind of nasty out there.
So I think while everyone was off investigating and stuff, Kieran would have approached Scarlet, especially if the prongs were still down here, and kind of looking from them to her armor, or lack of armor, but where it was, Kieran goes, very interesting the way the sword reacted to your armor, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and I'm not looking to repeat that anytime soon.
No, but when you
I shouldn't have taken the dagger out. I should go and get a head start just in case something happens. I can meet you guys back.
No, we'll be leaving shortly. I think it's best we all stay together just in case anything happens.
Do you want us to put this back on? I take out the manacles.
Just in case.
I put on the manacles, but I don't press the button yet. I just put on the manacles.
A look of concern passes Kieran's face as he watches Kaze manacle their companion, but doesn't say anything to that. But he'll continue on the point of the interactions, and he goes, yes, well, we shouldn't force anything upon you, but the way that the prongs, as it seemed to start to attach to you, your armor receded, as if the two Scathe-Fulum entities couldn't quite cohabitate on your body.
They'd find somewhere else. But yes, it was definitely interesting.
Not only that, it seems that this Scathe-Fulum within the prongs isn't tied to the Pallid King like the Crimson Cirrus is.
I honestly don't remember where the spirals came from. They just appeared and I had them. I don't know if she put them on or if somebody else did or if they just appeared.
Well, you showed up as an assassin of the Crimson Court with them. A court that's ruled by a Scathe-Fulum. Having the Pallid mark on your equipment means that the king is involved in some way.
It's a lot.
But, and then Kieran starts to do that thing where he starts like talking out loud as he's thinking. He's like, but this new Scathe-Fulum, the prongs, has no allegiance to the king. If anything, it's scared of the king. I can't imagine why that would be unless the new Scathe-Fulum are tied to the agreement Hadric had made with whatever entity he had defeated to gain power of the Scathe-Fulum. Something I still very much wish to find out more.
Man, you gotta stop thinking about all these gods and their interactions. It's the Wild West out here, baby. I don't even know if you understand that reference. It's totally a Snurf Neblin thing, but...
Well, I remember that the Wild West is with the cowboys, right? Which our old friend McClear is one of.
Wild West. I've never heard the stories of them. The only West I could imagine... I thought you were mentioning the Broken Continent.
Oh, I've never been there, but I've got some good Snurf Neblin stories to tell you on maybe our next set of travels.
Hey there, how are y'all doing?
Hello?
How are y'all doing? You see there's this old man standing at the opening of the gap that Wiswick had ripped through. This guy looks like he's probably in his 70s. He's carrying a long pole with some lighting mechanisms at the top. He's clearly like a lantern lighter who's just going around and saw a bunch of debris outside and a big hole in a building and came over, and you see his like he's so old that it looks like his chin is collapsing into his own face, and he's just like, "Are you all right down there?"
Hey, friend, everything's fine. You might want to step back a little. It's a little dangerous up there.
I mind my own business, but I just want to say you're all right down there.
Oh yes, we're very good, thank you. I believe we've just solved the recent killings that have plagued your city, so...
Oh, don't you say. Well, that's good.
Yes.
Good news
very
there. All right, then. All right, that's all good.
Yeah. If
Good
anyone
news.
asks, it was the Wayward Five that helped out Vermersly in her time of need.
Oh, yeah, now that must be what this crowd's about.
Wait,
You
there's a
see there's like
crowd
a
out
few
there?
other people peeking up, and then you hear from behind the crowd the voice of Oriel, who said he was going to be nearby. But, clear away, folks. This is important business. Clear, take it back, and he'll come up and like, thank you for your service, young sir. Pushes him along, and he's like, I just thought I'd check. I wander these neighborhoods every night, and I did know there was something creepy going on, but and he slowly pushed away. As Oriel would look down and just scan over each of you and the state of things.
As he's looking at everything, Kieran just pointing to Wiswick and like a...
And you see him just like,
Yes, Oriel. Thank you so much for coming. Don't worry, we've got everything handled. 100% fine and dandy down here. We'll be right up.
Actually, where is Brum?
Who?
Don't you remember?
Oh, right.
I don't know if he had a last will and testament, but someone has to inherit this.
At least what's left of it.
you hear from the distance. I bet whoever inherits that is going to have a lot of gold cost into your repair, and that thing is going to be a big fixer-upper. I don't think they're going to really enjoy inheriting that mess. I don't think that would really put me into the debts. I don't think that would be very wise.
Right, but this is a plot of land, and it's really nice neighborhood, so that will go for a lot.
Well, all right. And I don't think we need to discuss
I'm a
the
real
property
estate
rights in the moment. I think. Oh, timber. When did you get your license? I think we need to get you all out of there safely. Put some guards on this place. Do you think there's any more threat involved here?
I think whatever threat was here has long passed. Well, not long. Has passed.
Well, I don't see our suspect here, so it seems you've dealt with this issue.
Unfortunately, he has also passed. He was possessed by a scathe fulum that resided within the prongs of the black. Which we need to discuss, Kieran says, walking up the steps to Oriel, and goes, someone within your estate stole from companion Calith this weapon and sold it at the auction house.
Excuse me.
You're excused. If you could round up all the individuals that would have been working during the time of our absence, I'd like to have a few words with them. Or you can. I don't know. I was just gonna really lay down the old law.
No, that is fair assessment. Much of the house guard here are gifted servants under the employment of the Duke. Looks as though I'll be needing to have a word with him sooner rather than later. Right. Well, I thank you for cleaning up one mess in this wretched land.
Yeah, no problem? As I look around at the mess.
Leaning into Oriel, Kieran will go, what would the cost of these repairs be? I feel very bad for our disturbance of them. They seem like nice historic homes.
I
Is
am
there
no
a tax
expert.
system?
I'm no expert in the historical district.
Oh, I am, though.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot you have a license and you specialize in Enduran properties.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is that technically speaking, timber is from Endurus because the Sulk is technically on Enduran land.
So do they pay taxes to Endurus, or does that go straight to Strayus?
You know, the thing is, when your entire monastery is covered in cloaking devices, I think that keeps the tax collectors away.
Of course. Well, they're tax exempt, I assume.
Yeah, oh,
There's
that's
no
true. They are,
separation of church and
yeah.
state
Yeah,
in
of course.
You
Endurus.
gotta
It's literally
assume the
fighting
kingdom
for.
has some sort of insurance policy for, damages done in the line of duty.
I mean, if we
there-
really think about it, in this type of world, there does have to be traveling insurers who are like, adventurers in your backyard? Well, you better get insurance.
And owning so many magic items, surely something would have gone
Oh,
wrong
yeah.
eventually.
He definitely.
At least
Yeah.
one of them had to have been cursed at one point.
He definitely had magic
young
item
Rom.
insurance too.
Oh, yeah, someone who's a collector from an auction
Yeah.
house, yeah, he's insured his best items, which someone's going to get a payout for that as they're all being burned in acid right now.
Do they think you have life insurance?
Woof.
The entire this is what D&D turns into now is a party, an entire party committing insurance fraud to collect the tax, collect the insurance
Actually,
payout for the
I think I
man
have
they
his
just
will
accidentally
right
got
here.
killed.
Ah, yes, he left everything to us, the Wayward Five. Money, please.
I am
It's best,
skilled
it's
in
best if
calligraphy.
it's best if you just give it to them.
Before Wiswick leaves the basement, he wants to go up to Scarlet and either tell her to cover up her hands with the cloak, or give her something, throw the maybe the what do you call it, carpet over her, and just be like, yeah, we probably don't, if there's a crowd out there, we probably don't want them to see you shackled up. They might think you're the culprit or something. Just keep our image good. I hope you understand.
Of course. It's fine. And I'll take my I'll just tuck my hands inside my hood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sean, I would like to I won't look hard, but just kind of keeping an eye out. If that longevity potion or the bow is just kind of laying around somewhere.
Yeah, give me an investigation check.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like Kieran would mention at this point, he kept all his magic items up on the 3rd floor. I don't know if we should peruse those.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
I mean, you could try, but pretty much, floors 1 through, how many floors are on the building? 5 are just one big pile right now.
As long as it's concentrated on, as long as they didn't leave the 3rd floor, then.
You see Oriel kind of interrupts for a moment there and says, I think that it might be best if we leave the site as it is for now.
Oh, yes, of course. Forensic.
But as much as adventurers are entitled to some sense of compensation for their deeds, I do think it might not look well upon the governments of the world we intend to convince of the apocalypse when you, no matter how justified, loot a man's house after he seems to have died. I understand when you're in a cold
Makes absolutely
dungeon.
perfect sense, and I'm just
Somewhere.
tucking the carpet somewhere,
Yeah,
just
I
trying to hide
imagine.
it.
That being said, there may
Nice.
be opportunities for acquisition after the house has been properly tended to by local officials.
But to convince the governments of the world of the impending danger, I could be of some help there, as per what I asked for. let me speak with those that lead the Gwyn Empire.
And like I said earlier today, that will take some time. Take some time for me even to get you in an audience with the Duke of Honduras. But at least I have an urgent reason to speak with him.
I'm sorry, did you just say the Duke?
Well, of course. If we're to start your Chiron's endeavors, we need to start right where we are. Honduras is on the front lines of a dangerous war, and if they're about to be on the front lines of another dangerous war, they need to know.
He's right.
And they're right here. It's probably the more important thing.
Yes. We could use some time to relax and start to plan out our next moves. I apologize for rushing to loot. We should probably be back to your manor.
Yes, and thankfully there'll be, hopefully by the end of the week, Gwyn officials and Gwyn soldiers restocking the city's defenses. So I don't believe there'll be any more undetected intrusions.
Sean, I got a 19 on that roll, by the way.
You know, you find a whole bunch of goop.
No!
You find a whole bunch of goop. You find a bunch of half-burned goop. You find like some shattered glass with some goop mixing with some beautiful elixir. You might want to try to save it, but it could kill you because
You could probably lose.
contaminated with goop.
Yeah. You could lose.
Goop
life.
is a scientific term in this world. Goop is any magical item that's been melted down turns to goop.
Got it.
Big wolf.
You touch it anyway.
Writing that down. It's in my notebook.
It's a fish.
There are definitely items in the third floor that did not get destroyed because the goop is really only in that first floor because that's really the only place where the infection was. So Oriel would gather you up and just say, it's best to get out of this building. It truthfully could collapse at any point given these acidic burns. But I will put some officials onto it to see to its proper decommissioning. He may have been a puppet for some greater evil in the end of his life, and he may not have been a nice man before that either, but he still was a son of Honduras. So he will still bear some respects. Well, you all look exceedingly tired.
You bet.
Exhausted.
You should go and get some rest.
Oh, right. I'm
Eat
like,
well.
I have 11 HP.
Eat well tonight. See to your wounds. Be careful. Though I think you've brightened the city a bit in these dark times.
Always a pleasure to help those in need. Yes, it's us, the Wayward Five. Here to help
Okay,
when trouble
okay.
comes.
Come on, Kieran.
Wayward Five.
Wiswick's waving at the crowd.
You see, it's just like these people who are like, whoever was brave enough to go out into the cold to see who was spewing furniture into the middle of the streets, on an already pretty creepy street. Some people who just their morbid fascination brought them over, and they're all just sort of like huddled up, and they're like confused, like, are they heroes? Did they kill a man? Like, what are they the murderers?
No
you hear
more
that?
murders will take place within your streets thanks to the efforts of the Wayward Five, under the tutelage of Governor Oriel Clay.
If you ask me about it, I think they're a good force for us in this city. I think they're going to do a lot of great good here, and it's not going to convince me otherwise. And you see that old man just sort of, you can't tell, he might have winked at you, but his face is so squished that you don't know.
Kieran winks back, regardless.
On the way, as we're walking back, I am trying very hard not to cry. Especially every time Kieran says Wayward Five.
Absolutely. Okay. So, you all head back to Governor Clay's estate, where you can get some much-needed rest. Upon arriving, you can find that the gore from earlier this afternoon has been taken care of and cleaned up. The estate is thoroughly lit and warm, and there are many more very poorly armed guards that are just sort of what can be spared currently, that were just watching the estate during this sort of high level of threat. But there is, it's taken on a much different light since you were here literally earlier this afternoon. The streets are still quite dead, and folks are still quite scared. Word hasn't spread necessarily throughout the entire city of what you've done. But especially given Curon's display, word will travel. As this old man finds his evening nightcap bar to start sharing the story. But here you can find food, rest, comfort, healing, whatever you wish for the evening as you recover.
I think Wiswick is kind of like doesn't really know. I mean, he feels a little uncomfortable because like normally after a big adventure like this, or like a life-threatening event, the first thing he, like, when he comes back to the inn, there's always like alcohol and loud noises and like a story to tell to somebody. And now that he's like in this fancy town, what do you call it, estate, yes, that Oriel set us up with, he's kind of just like, he at first he's smiling and like cheery, but eventually, like, when he realizes that like everybody's off to do their own thing and relax, he like kind of just like becomes a little bit more solemn and maybe goes to see if he can raid a wine cellar or something.
Yeah, there is absolutely supply of wine to be had in an unhealthy coping way, or to celebrate.
He tries to learn about the wines, unknowing of regular culture. So he's just unbottling every wine and taking one sip out of it.
Absolutely destroying a lot of value
across
this wine cellar. Unsupervised Wiswick destroys fortune of wine collection. No, you would find there's wine. There's a large portion of wines that come from several locations. The most common are Eastern Tressics, and then wines from the bright shores of Byzantium. The Tressian wine is I mean, Wiswick, just give me a quick just a quick D20
Ultra
roll.
check. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Give a quick
taste bud roll.
Quick sommelier check.
Oh, 18, baby. Let's go.
Okay.
I'm a savant.
Actually, this roll isn't. You love the Tressian wine. There's just something about it that is just so good. I don't know if it's like the sweetness or the whatever is going on in it, but you love the Tressian wine. The Tressian wine is definitely the cheaper wine, but you don't know that. You just think it tastes better.
Does it have a fancy name?
Yes. Yep. The most frequent bottle you can find is called the High Winds of Tressics, and it is It's a Chardonnay.
The name sounds like a fart, and I keep drinking.
Go ahead and give me another D20 roll. Oops.
Sure. How much time has passed? This time I got a 6.
Okay, you do not like the Gwyn wine. It's too dry for you. They primarily have a cab from the Bright Shores that is called it's called Telomere Vines, named after the sea, the Telomere Sea that the vineyards are right off the coast of. This is very expensive wine, but you absolutely think it tastes like garbage compared to good old Tressian Chardonnay.
Okay, great.
That's my favorite part of D&D. Coming up with alcohols. So Wiswick is raiding the wine cellar and learning about Quintarchy wine and Quinn Empire wine. What are the rest of you doing?
Library. But only sleeping in the library. Because it's a quiet place.
That's
We
very
have
true.
rooms, like, do we have specific rooms, or are we going back to
Yes.
House of
Yes.
Healing?
If you recall, before leaving last time, you all had your own individual rooms. Remember when Scarlet flooded hers with whiskey?
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's where I'm going.
Dang.
It still smells like whiskey in there.
Great.
They've been scrubbing it for a month now, and it still reeks of magic whiskey.
Whoops.
Yeah, Scarlet was drinking from a enchanted flask that had an endless whiskey, and she fell asleep with it just held out for the whole night.
Whoops.
Beautiful.
It
It's actually a very
best produce flame in here because it's probably still a little alcoholic.
It was a very sweet morning afterwards, where everyone teamed up to clean it up.
Yeah. It's
and
very sweet.
And left for Scarlet's death. But yes, Scarlet, you can easily enough find your chambers.
That is where I am going, and that is where I'm staying for the evening.
Okay.
Sarathil, how much time did Governor Clay say how long it would be before we would be introduced to the Duke?
I'd say he implied it would be probably a week, probably around a week. So you have quite a bit of time where you're just gonna have free range.
Oh, fair enough. In that case, I want to go to that tavern that you had mentioned with the 3 travelers, which I apologize for not remembering their names. That went to.
Our resident note taker will pass them. Yes, the Rebel Sea Dog Tavern.
Yes.
Okay. Before we do that, Curon, is there anything in particular you want to do tonight?
Curon would just check on Ash, make sure he's still there, but otherwise, nothing specific, no.
There is something I want to do later on at night after what I'm doing, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because right now it's about like 6 o'clock. So imagine we'll do Sarathil's visit to the tavern, and then we can come back to whatever Wiswick would like to do this evening. Curon, Ash is he is actually, weirdly enough, you find him sleeping in that little cupboard that he's in. You see it's actually a weirdly odd sight to see a god has made a makeshift bed out of like sacks of flour and crates and whatnot. And he looks like, he still has kind of that like regal veneer he put upon himself, but He looks so small in this small chamber as God manifest.
Real quick, Sean, your Discord notifications are coming through your computer.
No one type anything yet for 5 seconds.
Sorry. I was just hearing ba-doop, 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 ba-doop.
Okay, now you can type in our Discord chat again. My Ambience laptop did not put us in streamer mode.
Big wolf. All right, that's fine. Kieran just, like anyone that's passing by might look and like be like, "Oh, he's looking after like their prisoner. How quaint." But really, like Kieran's like just an icy glare at Ashk, and he just watches him for a moment before going up to the sanctuary he made in Oriel's estate and rest there for the night.
Okay. Easy enough to do. Okay. Sarathil. You can exit out into the streets to look for... I mean, you were given directions to the Rebel Sea Dog Tavern already.
Yes.
It is going to require you to head down into the lower districts of the city, into the Septazaar. So it will take you a little bit to get there, but not too long. It's probably about a 15-20 minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
As you move through, first the this upper class district that you've been pretty much spending most of your time in while you've been here. You then descend into the Blythe, where there are 7 streets, and you can notice there's color aesthetics across the buildings and the tiles and the signs that all kind of create this rainbow effect across the 7 streets. This area has probably been the most built over, where you would see very little remnants of the city that once stood here. You might occasionally see old ruined walls, but mostly it's been repurposed. Like, the people of this district have ripped walls down, ripped ancient structures down to build their own structures.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't exactly a historical preserve happening within this part of the city.
Right.
And you would notice there are shops that are all closing down for the night in this area, and folks wandering to different taverns in the area, but you know that you need to keep moving to find the Rebel Sea Dog Tavern.
Yeah, just from passing that, Sarathil's gonna kind of take a sigh out of sadness, just remembering that, like, where he is again, that it's only been not so long that I just jumped into this new world and seeing the old world pretty much into ruins, but he understands that it's the progress of time and doesn't, he's not hateful of the people for building over previous land.
Absolutely. It's shockingly, it's the thing that I think is probably most stark about transitioning from the afternoon into the evening right now is how still everything is and how slow everything is compared to what you just did and how much you've done since you've come back.
Yeah.
These are some of the first quiet moments of your new life as you walk through the gentle snow that is falling right now, stars above, sun setting beyond the horizon. You make your way through the battlements and the causeway that leads to the lower district of the Septazaar. When you step in here, this is a much more hodgepodge of structures. Here's where you can see the people who built their homes here. They didn't, when they built their homes, have the technology to repurpose the stone of the old structures, so they just built on top of it or around it. So you would see old gardens that have, now currently they're packed with snow, but you'd see this like wattle and daub, like medieval home that like has a garden area that is like this ancient weathered stone with statues so weathered with time that you can barely make out the faces, but you can see the shape of Gwyn elves. It's very much so like the villages in England that have Roman ruins in them.
Yeah.
The city is, I wouldn't say more alive here, but just more full, more bursting at the seams. As you can see, there are a lot more people who do not have houses to warm them here. This is where you heard very briefly before you had to rush off to deal with the murderer that there are refugees from the war that have been forced into the outer districts of the city from the north.
Are they all human, or majority of them human?
Majority human. But you would see other folk as well. You would see a mixture of some beast folk, between Dragonborn, Tabaxi. Honduras is, perhaps you're learning now, as a whole, quite diverse. But you don't see any elves, I would say.
Yeah.
But there's quite a lot of folks. You see people are making makeshift campsites in some of these larger gardens that once would have been villas in your time. And you just see fires here and there, keeping them warm as best they can against this strangling winter.
Right. Sarathil will just kind of continue past as he shakes his head, knowing that the Gwyn Empire is waging war again and just displacing people, reminding him of the war of which he came from.
And from all that you've learned from Wiswick and the libraries, it's the same battlefield too. I think it's literally the exact same land masses that are being fought over. But you are able to reach this little cozy square that's off the main road, kind of through a few labyrinth-like alleyways. It's sort of like the houses make up this congested square that has this internal green for all of the denizens, and within that green there's the Rebel Sea Dog Tavern, where you can see the sign is scratched up. You can see it hangs at like shoulder level right next to the door, and it looks like there's been several carvings into it, where you can see all around the frame where there's open space. People have either carved names or messages all throughout or burned them in, and then that center just has this real grisly looking sort of cartoonish dog's face that just has like bubbles coming out of its mouth. They have these beautiful stained glass windows, old world tavern look, wattle and daub, half timber tavern inside. It looks like it's quite busy. You can hear some bustling inside, but you can easily enough head in and look for your three individuals.
Yes, thank you to Shannon. I will be moving through the place and see if I see a group of a female halfling, a tiefling, purple tiefling, and an older woman. Specifically those three that are near each other once I walk in.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you walk in, there would be a very mingled crowd in there, with just a very haggard-looking bard. Not even on a stage, he's just sitting on a table close to the fire, picking a very slow tune. He looks like he can barely see his own lute as he's looking at the strings. His face red already with the booze. It's mostly people who are like still soaked to the bone from the snow, trudging through the snow outside. trying to find warmth, food, and just a little bit of dryness. There's a weak fire in the chimney. You can see in the back there's a very small bar with just a few tankards, with a very a young half-elven gentleman who seems to be running the show up there, running about to and fro. He has these freckles all across his face, and he has this really curly and big hair, sort of tanned olive skin, golden eyes, distinctly a half Gwyn, half elf. You can tell from his features. But he also has some large buck teeth in the front, some very small elven ears, and just sort of like you can really tell this is like you combined the most elegant elf on the planet with the most country farm boy you can possibly find. Is this probably like 20-year-old half elf who seems to be rushing around. He's got a dirtied tunic on with a red velvet vest over it, straight up hobbit attire. Like to the point where you think this might be a half elf, halfling individual, as he's just sort of grabbing pitchers left and right and filling them up because there seems to be no one else working here.
Oh gosh. And you said he was behind the bar running back and forth to and from?
Exactly.
Well, starting out, given depending how crowded it is, do I see that group of individuals that I had just described at a table somewhere?
I would say you see a few folks that at first you kind of like looking around and you kind of trying to get a clear vision of them. You see someone who, is that a tiefling? Nope, I think that's just a drow gentleman. No horns. Nope, that's a gnome. You don't see the individuals that you're looking for, at least in the main tavern.
Okay. In that case, I will walk up to the bar. I won't sit down. I'll just kind of lean onto it and just wait for a bit until that half elf makes it his way back around the bar, and wait for him to see me, make eye contact, and like gesturing his attention.
Yeah, you would catch him across the bar where you can see him giving a few free drinks to the bard. And he kind of looks at you and makes eye contact with you. He sees you, and it's kind of at first as he kind of just can see the sallow skin, and then he's like, and you see he actually pulls out a contraption from his waistcoat. So like it's another thing. He's probably 5'5", quite short for an elf. But he pulls out of his little pocket in his vest this little clockwork stopwatch or pocket watch, and you can see it has several additional features on it that you can see he just sort of like with each finger is going into each feature that are just sort of like these metal parts that come off of it, and he kind of twists it, and you can see the clock comes off and is sort of like spinning rapidly like a hologram of the clock in like a bright blue color. Distinctly Gwyn technology. Like this type of fusion of Gwyn magic and technology is very Gwyn. And you do know, or you don't really know much about their modern policies. You know some of it actually from the reading you did the other night. But you know that they do have a robust education system to create these sort of, get these people to have these things. And you see he does this little ritual, and you can see that it swiftly turns, and this blue light flies around the room, very much so like kind of like the Patronuses in Harry Potter, and then it suddenly slows to a little crawl on the bar top, where you see then sliding in front of you and standing upright, a rather large weasel, familiar, that pops up. It's ethereal blue, clearly arcane in nature, and it looks at you, and it literally has in its hands a waiter's notebook and pencil and quill, and it just sort of, it doesn't speak, it just sort of squeaks a little bit at you as it just sort of taps the quill, the magical quill, onto its magical pad as the guy is rushing to and fro.
Yeah. I was hoping when he has a minute I might be able to talk with your conjurer about some explorers that pass through here.
It starts to write furiously, and then kind of like holds it up to you, and you can see it wrote your question down, and then you see right underneath it just says description : and it just sort of taps that.
I described to him the three people that I'm looking for: the tiefling, the older woman, and the female halfling, and the full description that you gave before too, where the Dralda was the female halfling's name, red eyes, a shaved head, runic tattoos, from what I was told. Euresis, I believe, is the purple tiefling, very ornate-looking horns. And the last one was Grenna, an older human woman.
See, it seems to toss the little book into some ethereal pocket on itself, and then sort of takes off running, and then it leaps into the air and turns back into that before landing on his shoulder and kind of crawling up. And you can see he's like stopped, like holding onto some dirty dishes and like in a flagon, as this little weasel is whispering in his ear, seemingly.
Yeah.
Oh. And he'll look at you across and just give you like kind of like a one moment sort of gesture.
Yep, and I'll give him a nod, acknowledging that I'm being patient.
And then you see he whispers into the weasel's ear now. That then leaps off of his shoulder back into its kind of flying form, lands on the table in front of you, kind of like does a little roll and tumble, as it didn't quite hit the landing this time. And then it kind of it takes out its pad again and writes down on it, drink ? On the house.
It's appreciated, but I'm not looking to partake right now.
With a few squeaks, it shrugs its little shoulders and leaps off the table to return to its master. It takes probably maybe 15 or 20 minutes before this barkeep has a moment where he can speak with you. But eventually it's the bar slows down a little bit, but mostly it's just everyone has been served and no one else is coming in. So he finally, wiping his hands on a kitchen towel, comes behind the bar, lifts it up, puts it back behind him, and just sort of collapses his elbows down on the bar and face palms a little and says, "Terribly sorry about that, sir. It's a busy night. Old Sprinkles there says that you've got a few contacts you're looking for."
Yes. I was told that they were staying at this tavern in town. They had recently done a job for the local apothecary.
It's a tiefling, a halfling, and a human woman. Old rogue, Grenna, Eurazis, Rolda. You see, he kind of goes under the table and brings out this big tome and just going through names that clearly have been signed in.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I forgot about them. I haven't seen them in a bit. They're still staying here though. I just think I've been too busy and I haven't seen them. But oh yeah, Yeah, they're still renting out the room. They gave me a pretty significant advance payment for their room. I think they wanted it as a headquarters of sorts while they stayed in the city doing work. But yeah, if you'd like, I can go and check on them, see if any of them are home, and let them know that there's a visitor for them.
You like that? Be much appreciated.
All right, well, I've got a moment now. As good as ever. I'll go check on him now. And you see he slowly walks away, and you see him disappear behind this kind of red curtain that separates the residential area from the bar itself. And it's only shortly later that you would see him return, looking a little flustered. He'll come back and he'll say, I'm terribly sorry, sir, but they seem to be not feeling well. Or at least the tiefling answered the door, and he looked pretty awful, pretty sick, under the weather. His purple skin looked more of a mauve, one might say, or a pale pink. Speaking truthfully, I'd rather my establishment not turn into a quarantine sick zone. But how do you know them? I didn't catch your connections with them.
After he says that, Sarathil will kind of look down for a bit, sad. Be like, my name is Sarathil, and I was afraid of this. Come to help them, if I can.
Oh, well, in most people in the business would say you shouldn't be letting strangers up to your guests' rooms, but they look pretty sick, and... Alright, yeah. Come on with me. I'll let you in for a little bit. If they ask you to leave, you gotta leave. Alright, right this way. And he leads you back there, and the, as the music fades in the background, would lead you into this hallway that's just lit by a few lanterns. And you see he takes a key out and starts to unlock the door and opens it, and he just, calls in there. All right now, fellers and miss. Or Mrs. and feller. I've got your friend here. He said he's here to help you. If you want him to leave, just let me know and I'll get him out of here. But you look quite ill. You would hear a voice kind of like coughing in there. Is it that damn Leonin? Is that damn Leonin, that damn lion, here to help? I know, but he's a friend of his, they say.
I kind of push the boy to the side, and kind of like step in. Be like, I'll handle it from here. As I walk in, like, do I see anybody there, or is it just like, okay?
No, as soon as you push past the barkeep.
And when I do that, I'll introduce myself. It's like, you do not. My name is Sarathil, but I do come here following a conversation I had with Leon.
You would see the man talking is Eurazis, the tiefling. He seems to be, of the three, the one who's doing the best. Perhaps his extraplanar heritage might have given him a benefit. But he is sitting in a chair by the table that's between two beds where you can see the other two. You see he is in just like sort of like a sleeping gown and his breeches, and he's barefooted. The tunic is open. You can see sweat all over him. You can see his skin, which was described as a vibrant purple, is just as the barkeep said, a pale pink with sores all over. These blisters that have not healed at all, that have this like, you can see some of them under the right candlelight. You can see like the scintillating glow of magic in there. And you can see there are rags all over the table covered in blood that they've been coughing into. In the beds themselves, the people are, Dralda and Grenna are in sorry shape. Dralda is a little more put together, but she's not doing as well as Uraz is. She's got the same fever and blisters, but she is unconscious. Grenna, on the other hand, perhaps because of her old age, has suffered significantly worse from this.
Jeez.
You can see the blisters are blackened in some places and spatially displaced, where you can see like bits of her skin are flaking off and floating near her face.
Jeez.
And she's not unconscious. She is just staring at the ceiling. It just like...
I see her in that condition. It's like, oh, this is far worse than I imagined. She doesn't have much time. Actually, scratch that. Can I do an Arcana check to see the extent of
Yeah, go for it.
her safety?
Mhm.
31.
So she is on the brink of the end. The other two are definitely, they might be okay. They might survive. They're going to be probably disabled by this for the rest of their lives. But they may survive. She does not look like she's going to survive.
I'll go back. I'll retract what I said before. Is like she doesn't have much time, and I'll start walking towards her swiftly, and like, please let me help. I can help.
What are you trying to do to us? We're already sick enough.
I know what caused this. You've been to...
Yeah, it's the fucking hinterlands. I know.
You shouldn't have gone there. It's foolish to go there.
Yeah, well, it's a bunch of scary stories to a fat sack of gold. Yeah, you're right, though. What can you do for her?
I might be able to... I could definitely slow down the spread. Save her life. But as far as bringing her back to the way she was, it's going to be more challenging. As I'll pull up a chair and kind of like take an assortment of items out of my bag to put around her. And what I would like to do, and we could talk through like how exactly we want to do this. Can I make like a medicine check to, I guess, like prepare her and contain kind of like the magical blisters from like infecting and like spreading, like treating that properly, and then I guess, and that could be the first thing. And the second thing, I was like, try to just cast remove curse on her and see if that helps, or a combination of the two would help with her sickness.
Yeah, give me that.
And if not that, then dispel magic, or just a combination of any sort of spells and medicine checks that I have.
Sure.
And the knowledge that I have in the past.
Go ahead and give me that medicine check first.
I second that. 20. 26.
Oh, wow. That's good, because you needed a nat 20 or a 19 to get that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that, like, no need to expend spell slots, but I'm going to say this medicine check is a mixture of your knowledge and, like, sort of almost in a way micro-dosing those spells in isolated areas to try to contain. You're using the same types of magic you would use for Dispel Magic and Remove Curse. You're just using it in a more surgical and precise way with this medicine check.
Right.
I'm going to say that you are able to successfully stop the spread so that it's not... it's contained to her body and is not going to spread to the whole bar. 2, you can stop her from dying and ease the pain for a little bit right now. But it's going to be a very, very, very long recovery for her with certain chronic pain afterwards. But she won't die. So, given that, if you want, what does it look like as you're kind of manipulating this magic to try to contain this plague within her?
Imagining, as you said, that her blisters are kind of like filled with this glowing mana, essentially. I'm seeing it as though I'm concentrating like a focal point on that magic, where like if I pushed too hard or like wasn't precise enough, it would like plop, and that magic would just spread everywhere, essentially like an infection.
Yeah.
But able to tap further into it and kind of like draw the magic out in a certain way, where the blisters kind of like reduce down, and they're no longer filled with like that pustule of glowing magic. They're still scarring, but
yeah,
like that has been kind of removed.
Yeah, and you can see in certain places as the magic, as you kind of, I imagine it's this like almost, it's like lancing. You're almost extracting the magic and then dispelling it away from this plane of existence back from whence it came.
Right.
And you see areas where her skin and flesh had flaked off and was floating. You see them start to settle back in. Still a little broken, but no longer displaced. As she is breathing harshly through this all, it is strenuous on her. And you see she's just sort of like, she can't move anything. As she's just, you see the eyes kind of turning and looking at you as you're going through this, and you can tell she's struggling through this. But as you're finishing it up, you can see she grabs your wrist, and you can see like her arm almost looks as dead as your arm, in a lot of ways. But she just sort of weakly holds your wrist, barely able to make any kind of gesture of appreciation, but this is as much as she can muster.
I kind of lay my hand on her hand as she's like holding mine, kind of like patting it down, putting it down as well for like make sure you're all right now. Get some rest. As I kind of like lean back, because I'm sure that didn't take 2 seconds. That was a little intensive, so I'm just kind of like sighing off, like it was like a successful procedure.
Yeah, and I mean it's not just like there was like moments like where you needed to like do physical labor here too, where like something didn't quite go right, so you need to like quickly clean up or fix something, and it's just this, it was this long process. I'm gonna say it took at least an hour.
Exactly. That's why I was saying like I broke out like any sort of like medical, all the medical tools that I have on my being.
You'd see as you sit back, you'd see kind of like Eurazis, who's like, you can see even has like one eye that's kind of swollen shut from his sickness. Like, you got any more of that medicine and magic?
Yes, can try to treat all of you, but
and you would see actually at this point, you see the barkeep has been watching, kind of like tightly holding onto his towel, kind of like enthralled by the procedure. You'd see standing behind him is probably maybe a 12-year-old boy, who looks in, and he's kind of nervously and sheepishly looking around the frame, as he kind of like sees them ask about the if you have any more left in you, and you can see he kind of shouts back, "Hey, you've got enough for a few more?"
I'll immediately turn around And I see this. I see the 12-year-old boy, and I'm taking it. He looks sickly.
He looks
can I
better.
make a perception check or
no perception check needed? He looks like he is not well, but he is not like advancedly sick from this. And he would say, my parents have been sick as dogs since we got here.
they staying at this place as well?
Aye.
I'll stand up. Like, which room?
Right at the end of the hall, on the right.
How many rooms past this one is it?
I would say it's 2 rooms past.
Okay.
And you hear the bark. He's like, should I be shutting things down? This is a problem. Why are you gonna get sick? All those folk downstairs are gonna get sick.
I stare off for a second, and you like. It takes quite a bit for this to spread, but with his parents and the rest two here, I'm going to need some help. Allow me to go get some help, and I'll be back. Don't need to worry.
All right, then.
And I will immediately just jolt out. Or no, I won't just, I'll take it back. I will walk out. But as soon as I get past the door, I'm going to start running to the estate.
Okay.
As fast as I can.
All right. While this has been happening, it's been roughly 2 hours at the estate, but by the time he comes back, Wiswick, there's something. It's not quite as late as you maybe meant for it to be, but it's a little later.
I think that sounds like a good enough time, like probably like an hour and a half into his lonely drunk escapade. He would go upstairs to try and find Kieran.
You'd be able to find him in his sanctuary.
Hey there, buddy. How you doing?
Wiswick. I'm doing well. Just thinking over our latest encounter. How are you?
Okay. I brought you a bottle of this wine. I didn't really like it that much, so I figured maybe you could give it a try, see if it was more your tastes.
And I got the Telemari vine from Honduras that is all fancy and looks real nice.
Well, thank you very much, Wiswick. I appreciate the gesture. Kieran will take the bottle and just set it down next to him. To what do I owe this pleasure?
I just wanted to check up on you, Usually, when we do something pretty cool, we usually celebrate, or at least I do. And I mean, it's kind of lonely out in this estate all around, and I was just wondering if you felt nervous about what Governor Clay was talking about, about meeting the king and everything. Like, we used to have Cal to do the talking when it came to nobility, and I mean, I guess we've been doing okay so far, but I mean, a king's a big deal.
Well, a point to make is he is just a duke of Honduras. I think king is used more for an empire, whereas he just owned what they just, I think they call just province, Quintarchy, but that's beside the...
I mean, is Honduras a kingdom? I thought that was pretty much how it worked, right? If you're the head of a government, you're like the king, right?
Well, the human nations have different titles for the nobility. King Heinrich rules over the entirety of the human Quintarchy, whereas the Duke of Endurus simply controls this area between the mountain that I'm sure I would know the name of.
Heathring.
Heathring.
Are they anything like dwarven kings? Because I mean, I've met a few of those. They usually, are pretty good drinkers.
I'm sure many of the nobility in the Quintaki are excellent drinkers, but I don't pretend to know an individual until I meet them. I've also never met a dwarven king, so I can't really make a fair comparison.
Okay, so we're still kind of both a little in the dark on this Duke guy. It's all right. We've got a long time to prepare.
I mean, there's not much to prepare. We simply go in and state our case, and hopefully the light of Iluvania and the Everflame guide his hand in helping us.
Sounds good. I had one more thing I wanted to bring up. I mean, I could use a favor. It's nothing too big or serious. I mean, I just thought.
Yes, I will look into your god. I apologize. Noel de Gras. It's on my list. I just need to get the reagents for my spell. Cast it.
Well, I really do appreciate that. Honestly, that would be a huge help. I really gotta thank you again for that. But I was thinking something a little bit smaller, and he's gonna hand him a slightly wine-stained note, and just say, when we were in that weird basement world thing, I kind of had a moment of weakness, and I saw some messed up stuff that I guess the Pallid King wanted to mess with my head and everything, but it made me think about, how important my family is to me, and I was just wondering if you could use your advanced sending abilities to send this note over to my sister Fizri for me.
Kieran looks at the note and kind of sniffs it a little. Looks to the the bottle of wine and goes, "Did you have another bottle of wine before this one?"
Yeah. The stain is a different color than the bottle that I gave him.
Never mind that. Yes, of course, Wiswick. I would be happy to message your sister on your behalf. Let me just see here. Okay, Fizri. Oh, of course.
If you have any problems with pronunciation, I got you covered.
Of course. Prayeth. Listen to our. This is quite poetic, Wiswick.
Well, yeah, I wanted to make you sound good,
Of course, I appreciate it. I'm sure I wouldn't sound good otherwise.
Well, I just want her, to think that my friends are hotshots, if you know what I mean.
I don't.
I think
Please
she's got
explain to me what you mean by that, Wiswick.
It's been a long time since I've been home, and I just want her to know that I'm doing well. Kind of just like a little bit of proof that I'm fine out here on my own, and there's people looking out for me. That sort of thing.
Shall we list off all the achievements you've accomplished since you've joined us?
Ooh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Add it to the list. Now. Add it to the letter.
How you've gone up against chained gods, Scathefulum. Yes, of course.
I mean, yeah, I was a little bit more brief in my descriptions, but I generally hit those marks, I think.
Well enough, you did. Yes, of course. Give me a moment, and I will send a message to her.
Wiswick just sits cross-legged, patiently waiting in the room.
I imagine Wiswick kind of like goes to sit down and like put his arm on the table as he's going cross-legged and just in his intoxicated state.
Okay, well, let me see. All right, so Kiran casts Sending Plus. Well, can I send cast send? No, I've already done it to her. And he sends it to Wiswick's sister, and he starts Fizri, Anbi, Arwen, Yelk, Pulprus, Darius Netherrock. I bring tidings from your brother Wiswick. I am Kiran Islastana of the Elysian Elves, and I travel with your brother. He has beseeched me to reach out and convey to you the dangers of the surface world. If you aren't aware, there's a war going on between Untduris and the Gwyn Elves, and against the rest of the Quintarchy. On top of that, we fear the machinations of the Wayward One that started the Morsir conflict thousands of years ago are continuing into our present. We're dealing with extraplanar threats and aberrations of all kinds. And because of this, Wiswick would ask you go back to your people, Snefneblin, beneath the surface, and protect them, keeping them safe. He wants you to know that he travels with the Wayward Five, champions of Illuvania. We're really quite great, actually. I don't want to brag too much, but we have defeated Scaithfulum and many other extraplanar threats. Wiswick would like you to know that he is a hero and a paragon of morality, and a very good friend, and I'm sure a better brother. So please, from him and from us, respect his wishes and return home for your safety and for his. We would hate for you to get caught up in all of this. By the light of the crescent heart, Kiran.
A few moments later, you would get a response. Oh, Bilgrew. You tell him I'm not going anywhere until I see him. If that means I've got to trek halfway across the surface, I'm coming for him. You just tell me where.
Well, we are currently in Vermelsia of Honduras.
I don't know what you're saying! Don't tell her where we are! What are you saying?
Kiran's doing this all in his mind. Wiswick can't hear any of it. So if anything, he would see Kiran's face twitch at the response, and then, calming as he responds. We are in Vermelsia, which, depending on where you are, could be a battlefield away.
I don't know where I am at all. But it can't be more than a couple days, right? How big is it up here?
My dear Fezri, it is very, very large compared to the end. Can you at least give me an idea of your surroundings?
Well, I found I was lost in these farms for a while. And then I they were people were really nice. I was scared of them at first because you hear stories, but it's fine. Bill grew. But I got some food, and I asked them where the nearest city was, and they said it was across the river, somewhere called uh, Oranshire. So I think I'm near there.
Physic. Whatever you do, be very, very careful and avoid Oranshire. Bad people control that town. It sounds like you're in the province of
Sverwold.
Where gangs rule and a terrible man named Thatcher controls. The land.
Well, where should I go?
Back home.
You're as stubborn as Bill grew.
I mean, I did immediately tell you where we were, but given the massive distance, it would take you maybe 2 months to reach us by travel, by foot.
2 months?
Unless you have some flying steed or a magic carpet.
No. I left my bat in the Underdark. Well, you gotta have friends up here. He's been on the surface for so long.
If you're able, you can circumnavigate Oranshire to the north and enter the forest realm of Taram Ron. But be careful. All manner of creatures lurk in there, including fucking what's them called?
Those
Mantis
dragon thingies.
monsters. Yeah.
Thryking.
Thryking. Where we have friends. Or you could head east again around Oranshire towards Caerdolan, where Wiswick knows a drow named Carla in Caerdolan.
A drow?
A surface drow, not like the ones you've encountered.
Okay. Well, Wiswick might claim to be the masters of weaves of magic. Or at least that's what Owick always told him. But I can get around quietly.
A good skill to have.
Okay. How can I communicate with you?
You know the spell Sending?
No.
Uh,
I might be able to learn it. I don't know as many spells as Wiswick, but I do know some magic.
I don't know if anyone knows as many spells as Wiswick. He's a bit of a collector. My best guess, given your current location, is heading to Taram Ron. If you can make it to the Wood Elf City, we have friends there. A gnome, a surface gnome, called Elspeth, who might be able to assist you, or a Firbolg named Taram Ron. Of course, there's our Wood Elf friend Valen, but he's rather busy on some assignments from me.
Okay. Any directional advice on how to find them?
Head north. You'll get to a logging village called... This one I need help with.
It's the revival logging camp. I
the
think
revival.
is what it is. I know it's the revival is what the company's called.
Yes, the revival logging, which again, be careful when you're there. Yeah, I believe it's controlled by the Highland Syndicate, an enemy of our group. An enemy of the world, really. And then from there, he briefly describes the path to the House of the Wayward Five, and assumes that someone will help her.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. All right. Thank you, Kieran.
Kieran. I can mispronounce other people's names, but no one better fucking mispronounce me.
What's taking so long,
Sorry
Kieran?
about that. Thank you, Chiron. I will, if I can get a hold of someone who, if I can get a hold of this Elspeth, I'll find a way to get word to you. But you tell Bilgrew I'm not going home till I see him.
I'll be sure to let him know.
Okay, bye.
Be safe. Cressida to guide you. May the moon be your guide.
Oh, okay.
What was that for? Bye. And hangs up. Kieran's eyes snap open. He looks Wiswick straight in the eyes and goes, well, she's heading to to Taramran, so hopefully she'll be safe there.
I was worried about this. Did you tell her did you say please?
No, I don't think I did.
Well, that's your problem. You're not supposed to be rude to Snurf Neblin.
I thought I was.
Come on, we gotta get her home. She's in trouble.
Wiswick, if there's anything I learned from that brief conversation with her, she is just as stubborn as you. And she said I was just as stubborn as you. It's a whole stubborn triangle. Anyways, she's currently near Oranshire. And I think it's best she gets somewhere safe if she won't return home.
That makes sense. All right. I guess I'll just keep an eye on her then. Thanks for trying.
Yep. You got it, boss.
Yeah, and with that, Wiswick will, sheepishly, head towards the door and say, like,
You really should try that wine. Maybe we can, once you're feeling better, or like maybe tomorrow we can hang out or do something. Oh, well then you want to try and get the crew together? Maybe we can wake some of these guys up. We could go out and get a drink or something.
I think it's best we leave everyone to their rest. I do still need to prepare some spells, but don't worry, tomorrow is a big day. We're gonna talk to a parasite god.
I don't like the sounds of that, but it's always interesting with you, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow.
And it quickly skips out the door.
Okay. Scarlet, you said you had something you wanted to do?
Yeah. As soon as we got back and I went to my room, I sat down and just I'd been spiraling the entire time, and now I'm just letting it out. I'm sitting with my arms on my knees and just my head in my hands, just sobbing uncontrollably. There's a point where I take out just a plain dagger because I don't have my actual one, and I'm so deep in this spiral that I produce flame and I heat the end of the dagger, not enough to melt it, but enough to make it really hot. And I hold it to the back of my head, and I just hold it there, still crying, still out of control, can't get anything under control. And then once I've held it there long enough and it's cooled, I'll just throw it across the room and then just go back to head in the hands.
Scarlet, give me a wisdom saving throw.
Mm, 11.
Okay. You just barely keep your composure.
Oh boy.
And by composure, I mostly mean you fall apart, but don't.
I'm already falling apart.
Don't fall apart quite enough. But this entire process is you're shakily holding this blade to your neck, where the infection is, you know of. Like in the throngs of, imagine, whimpering and deep breaths and crying, you do hear voices in your head every now and then. Some of them you think might be your own mind, some of them you think are external. They're just saying all your names. Here's Scarlet. Scarlet. Rowan. Daughter. Daughter. That one keeps ringing in your head. My daughter.
When I hear that, I'm just hands really tight on my ears, just trying not to hear it and rocking back and forth.
You're so close. You could rip out your heart tonight. Be free. Feel no more pain. I just want to protect you.
Am I allowed to, or am I able to self-induce just the numbness?
I'd say you could give in a little. Choose to give in a little.
Yeah, I think it becomes too much that she I give in a little bit just so I can stop feeling for a second.
Feel a sharp pain in the back of your neck, almost as if the creature can feel your feelings of resigning. And all the wounds you've sustained in the fight, you could just see, like, in certain places, the armor comes out. It just sort of moves over your body like a Ferris fluid, rejuvenating and healing wounds. And it almost feels like you've been given an anesthetic. There's warmth in your veins. And you don't feel good or euphoric. You just don't feel.
That's exactly what I wanted. So then when that takes over, I'll just sit with my back against the wall, my hands in my lap, and just 1,000-yard stare ahead.
Okay. And before Sarathil comes barging in to the estate, we're going to take a break. We will be back in 5 minutes, folks. So please stick around for the rest of the show. Thanks for hanging out with us so far. We'll see you all. We see you all soon. We will see you all soon.
Oh, I just put us in. Hey, everybody. Welcome
Hello,
back
everybody.
to Advantage Paradise. This
Not
is
that
me,
song.
your DM, Sean O'Donovan.
Yep, keep going.
Last we left off, there was some goblins in there. What? This is
What's
accurate,
that?
right? Sorry, I was...
I don't remember that.
All right, let me save you. Welcome back, everybody.
I was just... This is what Timber was dreaming about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this whole time Timber has just been in the library, one leg kicking by the fire, as he's just been dreaming about goblins.
Yeah, no, he was dreaming that he was being, caught up by Sean O'Donovan, talking about the last time on...
And talking about goblins, particularly Roach, the greatest goblin of all.
What if? What if?
Well, yeah, Timber's Dreams, that's another series. It's all the what ifs of this. If you guys were just like, fuck you, Katya, we're going with Roach. Roach is showing us around the desert. That's
Fuck
right.
you, Roach.
Go fucking Kobo Pantres. Anyway. All right. So, we are back. We just had some aftermath of the big fight. Wiswick drunkenly asked Huron for some help with a drunk text to his sister, begging her to go home and not chase after him. We had a poignant moment with Scarlet where she was overwhelmed with the emotions of her current situation and chose to numb herself in the moment. We also saw some grave sickness in the Rebel Sea Dog Tavern that Sarathil began dealing with, but quickly saw that he was a bit outmatched and began to return to the estate. And we come back with Sarathil arriving to the estate. Scarlet has anesthetized herself with evil. Wiswick is probably a bottle and a half of wine deep. Timber's, I'm sure, passed out in the library. And Huron is, imagine, meditating in his sanctuary. Where do you go? Who do you go to first, Sarathil?
Huron.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Someone needs help.
Yeah, you can easily find Huron amongst them.
In your room, was it?
Huron's in the sanctuary he set up on the second floor of Oriel's estate balcony. Yeah.
It would have been where you arrived when you guys first got here.
Yeah, got you. So they'll come running in, panting, just breathing. Huron.
Sarathil, where have you been off to?
We have a terrible problem. Where's Governor Clay?
Is he still here, or did he leave?
You haven't seen him? You're not sure where he is?
I haven't seen him. I'm not sure where he is.
I need to find him. You need to help me, please.
Of course. Take a moment, friend, please. What's happening?
We don't have time. The city's in danger.
More danger than what we just dealt with.
Possibly, if it spreads to enough people. The sickness that I was worried about, that Leon had talked about. The skeleton in the back room that his place. His adventurers.
Hinterlands.
They caught it. And it's spreading rapidly through the tavern.
And Huron raises to his feet, cracking a few bones as he goes. Plants the staff down and goes, all right, well, let me send a quick message to Governor Clay. And then what do you propose we do next?
That the tavern. It's the rebel dog. Salty rebel.
Rebel Sea Dog.
Rebel Sea Dog. That's. I had both of them just separated.
Yep.
The Rebel Sea Dog needs to be contained. Send whatever guards or whatever they could spare to make sure nobody gets out of there. And I'm gonna need you and I to try to tend to those inside. You can't let this spread.
So Kieran will send a quick sending to Oriel. No plus. And simply state, Governor Clay, Sarathil has discovered a sickness originating from the Chromantis hinterlands, affecting those within the Salty Sea Dog. Wait, what was the name?
Rebel Sea Dog.
The Salty Rebel something or another.
Jesus Christ.
In Hairfrost's beard or something.
Fuck you.
Something to do with some.
I retain my right to mispronounce everything. It's my character flaw.
It's true.
Contain. We will be there. Love, Kieran, XOXO, exclamation part.
I'll send my people down immediately. If you're heading there, I'll meet you there.
Alright, and Kieran turns to Sarathil and goes, Alright, Clay will meet us there shortly, and he'll have members of the guard, I assume, to contain it. Now, what exactly are we dealing with? You can tell me on the way.
Yes. As we're heading back, I'll elaborate more about the nature of essentially my backstory, which I got into a little bit. Is that the Fae, the hinterlands, in my time, a massive Fae explosion occurred due to the Gwyn Empire channeling magic from there, leaving essentially a desecrated area around it, like similar to like radioactive material today. Pretty much like an atom bomb that went off, and everything is just like that goes near it just gets radiation poisoning, but in a magical sense. Where I described to you the affliction, and then the ultimate demise that happens to those that contract it. And if I understand correctly, Sean, it could be spread. It's not like it's airborne, it's like a proximity thing.
Yeah, it's very much so.
It's not a virus. It's those who are afflicted with it. They start emitting off a radiation, and so those that are also near it, them will become sick as well.
Yeah, it's in this case you can surmise that it's because these three adventurers probably spent an inordinate amount of time there to capture the specimen, as opposed to the like slow degrading of Raphael's health that you saw, based on him slowly interacting with one specimen, but doing so carefully. You did notice he was suffering, his constitution was suffering, but these folks have like a full blast of the sickness. And it's a proximity and typically a touch thing too, where it's if someone comes too close to them, or they use the same poorly washed mug, one might say, or a something like that could cause contamination. Perhaps at a tavern where there's only one person working, so things don't get cleaned that well.
You monster. You did that on purpose. I was wondering why you're making this poor half boy friggin' sweat his balls off.
But you You would arrive there before any of Oriel's people, because you left right away. And Curon, this would be your first time also seeing the Septazaar in its current state. I mean, you've never been, you didn't go to the Septazaar even when you were here before. But you would see the tent clusters that have formed and the impoverished refugees that are gathered around makeshift campfires and bonfires. And this place is bursting at its seams with refugees.
When we get to the front, or just before we get along the way, I meant to ask, Huron, do you happen to know any sort of restoration, greater or otherwise?
I wish you'd told me that a little sooner. I know the spells, however, they are not prepared. Also, I prematurely took a long rest, so I'm working off memory of how many spell slots I have.
It's having it not prepared. We're not going to need it immediately. The major thing is, I only have the expertise of staving off the sickness, preventing death. Unfortunately, it leaves the soul crippled in a sense. And for anybody that's been affected too long by this, a greater restoration could help them.
So a simple greater restoration spell would work.
I believe so. I'm not a cleric.
Well, let's see the infected, and we can go from there.
Or, I have to say, looking around, I don't see Glover or Clay or anybody else arrived there yet.
No, they should arrive shortly, though. He needed to go and acquire the people he wanted to acquire and then have them come. So, probably, I'd say, probably within the hour he should arrive.
Have you spoken with the proprietor of the tavern?
I kind of looked down for a second. He's like, he led me in to the three that were afflicted. One was extremely on the verge of death. But I regret to say I didn't mention the severity of the disease. I didn't want to cause alarm, so certain I can get people here to stop anybody from leaving or entering.
Of course. We may need the entire group for this, and Curon is going to use his ring of... Well, wait. The rings that Curon and Kaze have, or the wristbands, are they 1 day use? Was it?
No.
Or...
No.
Oh, okay.
They're.
Okay. He's gonna radio his guy. Sleepy Buppy. This is Moon Blessed. Do you read me?
Moon Blessed. The goblins? Oh no.
There are goblins everywhere. We need your help.
Okay. What are you?
So Kieran's just gonna quickly relay the info and say, apologize for not bringing him. Didn't realize the severity, but that to gather the others to meet us here so that we can do a nice blockade or quarantine.
Okay, I'll go grab the other two and meet you down there.
Timber, were you sleeping just
in
like
the
in
library.
Your wolf form? Your
Yes.
wolf form?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just a quick question, because you're the last one who had it. Who has the prongs of the black scabbard?
I do.
You still have it, okay.
Yeah, I wrapped it up in something after it's in the scabbard, but I kept it on me.
Yeah. Okay. When you wake up, you would see that it's completely out of its wrappings.
Oh shit.
And it's just, but it's just like, it's just laying beside you. And you can see little tendrils off the blade are just sort of magnetically attracted to you, in the same way you saw the dagger to Scarlet. Just FYI.
Okay. Gonna mage hand that, and just kind of do what I was going to do, and go get Wiswick and Scarlet.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep having it mage hand, just like kind of floating next to me.
Yeah. No problem. I'd say you burst into Scarlet's room first, and you would see her just sort of laying on the bed, staring at the ceiling.
Motionless.
Scarlet, Kieran needs help. Everybody needs help right now. Let's go.
Right now?
Yeah, there's something going on. They desperately need our help. Anyway, we gotta go. Scarlet.
Goes back to looking at the ceiling.
You okay? Come on. We gotta go. I don't know where Wiswick is. Oh. Do you want me to put on the manacles? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
At this point, Timber is like concerned, and he messages Kieran, "Hey,
Moonblessed.
Moonblessed, this is Doggo. Scarlet is weird, or she's acting like she might be turning back. Maybe, I don't know. You're still in there, right, Scarlet?"
I look at you and look back to the ceiling.
Well, you're not killing me, so
I'm
You'd
fine.
get a message in response from Kieran that just says, "Well, then bring whoever you can. This is a very pressing matter. She's okay."
did you? What's going on?
I'm fine.
Okay. Do you want some alone time? We can handle this, and we'll
No, I'll go with you.
okay.
And then, like, just abruptly stands up and starts to walk towards the door.
All right. Okay. I'll go get Wiswick. And Timber's gonna just kind of watch as she's going past him, very just concerned.
Wiswick's been in a random hallway, and he keeps running up the stairs and sliding down the banister.
God damn it, Wiswick. That looks like fun, but we got to go.
Okay, one last run! And I just jump down the banister just to leave.
Okay. So it's going to take them probably 20 minutes to get down to the rest of you. In the meantime, Sarathil and
in the
Kieran.
meantime, I do have a plan.
Okay.
Or I'd like to do something. I'll turn to Kieran and say, as we wait for our friends to get here, or say your friends, still pretty new. I don't want to just make assumptions now. As we wait for the group to get here, let me go back inside and start tending to those that are in very severe shape. Wait out here for the rest of them and make sure nobody leaves this tavern. Tell them if they try to get out what has been going on, because I'll have to leave a little bit of hope here with you. You don't want to touch anybody that could potentially be sick. You don't want to catch it yourself. And as I'm saying that, I would like to take the bag of holding and pop out 8 of my boys and cast a level 6. It's like my last freaking spell I have, but it's level 6. Animate dead to resurrect 8 of my companions, and give them an order to like surround the perimeter of the tavern and to block anybody that tries to escape. Not to attack, but to just kind of like stand there intimidatingly.
Do you really think using undead constructs in a highly populated urban environment is the best idea? Especially after given the recent string of murders committed by an individual who would leave his victims ripped asunder and bloody as all happens.
Don't imagine anybody in there is particularly, I don't know. Maybe fear is the best thing to keep him inside.
So, your bony companions surround the tavern. Kieran at the front. You step inside, and that medium crowd is still there.
Yeah.
The bard has stopped playing and seemingly has passed out drunk in the corner. The half-elven lad is kind of cleaning up, and he sees you, and he kind of like nods his head and kind of immediately drops whatever he's doing and comes rushing over to you.
I meet him halfway and kind of gesture him to like walk to like the back area again, where we could be alone to talk.
Aye, yes. Did you bring more help?
I did, but you need to listen to me very carefully right now. This disease can spread. It probably already has spread to almost everyone here. But it's not the end. I can help. We just need to make sure we need to keep it contained. I spoke with the governor. He's bringing some guards here to help make sure that nobody gets out.
Guards? All right. What can I do?
Best thing is to keep everybody from not knowing what's going on right now. We can't have a panic. Tell them that the drinks are on the house for the rest of the night, and I will cover the charges for you.
All right.
And make up some sort of contest to keep everybody inside.
I think I can do that. You can see the kid beginning to panic a little bit himself as he looks to the door where he saw the 3. And he keeps looking to the door, and you can tell he's probably thinking about the condition of them.
Hey, look at me. It's important that this stay calm. That's the only way I can help. Because I need to concentrate. You saw the woman. You saw what I could do.
Aye.
I just need some time.
All right. Yes, I'll get them drunk. They'll pass out here.
Good lad.
Or they'll stay. All right.
And just so you know, there may be Lisinov. A wolf man, a fire genasi, and a gnome. They're here to help as well if they happen to come in. They're people that I know.
Well, all right. There's all sorts in Vermalcia. I got it.
So if they come in asking to help, you can send them back my way.
Hey, sir. All right. Do what you got to do. And you see he immediately starts to walk back into the bar area, and you look back, and through the curtains, you can see he just sort of. Oh. You see, he just sort of grabs one of the few bottles that's on the back of the bar, and you see him shakily pour himself a drink. Just downs it back and in his best voice he can. All right, lads and lasses. It's Long Dark special. 3 drinks for the next hour. On the house. You see a few folks start to... these folks were deep in their cups already. They seem like they'll be distracted for a little while.
And then as I'll head back, I'll go back to the room with the 3 adventurers, and attempt to do the same thing I did to Grenna on the tiefling first, and then followed up by the gnome or halfling. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and give me a medicine check.
Come on. All right. Ooh, 24.
Okay. All right. So it takes a little while, but you are able to slow and ease the condition and stop the spread of Eurazis's condition.
You can keep having me roll as much as I want. I'll pretty much just be doing this as things unfold outside.
Yeah, I'd say I'm going to say that 24 I'm going to include in both of them, but you'll just be with them for a while.
Yep, that's fine.
Governor Clay would arrive before your companions. Kieran, as you would very clearly see him from a distance coming. You see he has about 6 soldiers with him, and then 4 graces of the Everflame. You see, he approaches you, and he is kind of like in his armor and everything right now. Like he's kind of espousing authority in his positioning. Just no breaks.
They say there's no rest for those that would fight off evil. And so here we are.
Close off the street. He's saying to his soldiers, close off the street. Get some of the local guard involved if you need to. Graces, you will listen to this man. Whatever he tells you. Do as he says. If they give you any trouble, Kieran.
I can't imagine they would. Graces of the Everflame, he says, almost saying this towards them, highly respected amongst all cultures.
I'll work on keeping the street closed out here. I'll join you in a bit. I should be able to help as well.
Of course, appreciated. And just a point of clarification, those, Kieran says, pointing to the undead constructs of Sarathil, security courtesy of Sarathil.
I will not get used to that man.
Neither will I. Did you notice the hands?
I noticed
I
it
didn't
for the
notice
first time
hands
today.
until... Yes, yeah.
And it was... We can talk about it later. But
Okay.
I'll join you in there shortly. And here, take this. And he'll hand you a rather thick cloth face wrapping. Don't know what we're dealing with in there.
Appreciate it. I don't know if this will work, but thank you. Puts it on. Opens the door and gestures the graces.
You see, as you enter in, you see the barkeep. He sort of notices you, and he nods his head in a direction. And then as you and the Graces walk in, you just see him shouting out, "All right then, lads, another round on me, another round on me. Look over here," as he starts to pour different cups and starts to hand them out. You can see him from behind the bar, like pour half a beer and then like take a jug of water and pour it into it and start handing it out to the people. As the folks are temporarily distracted.
Upon entering the adventurer's room, the first thing Huron says is, "You thought it best to calm these people by getting them more drunk. I don't know how things were 1,000 years ago, but drunk tavern goers are never an easy crowd to handle. In my very, 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 very limited experience."
This area down here compared to the upper area, I feel like we're riddled with derelicts. We won't be able to witness anything happening outside as long as the cups were filled to a point where they were too much of a stupor to even be coherent enough to leave. What other choice did I have?
Fair. You could have simply told them the truth and told them to sit down and shut up. But this is good. Anyways, Oriel has arrived and shut down the street traffic outside. He's lent us these 4 graces to assist. Now, Huron says, miming putting on surgical gloves. What are we dealing with, Doctor?
I'll point to the 3 that are. I guess he came in soon after.
I would
with the 2.
I would say he comes in as you're finishing up with Eurazis and beginning on Dalra. Is that what it was? Dagra? Dalra? Geralda. Thank you. Sorry. Geralda. So Huron, you'd have a very clear sample to go off of and see how he's been healing them. You can see he's been using just precise magic and precision uses of Dispel Magic and Remove Curse, along with just general medicinal knowledge. You can also see from these 3 a good sampling of early stages, mid stages, and late stages. Eurazis being the least affected, then Dralda, and then Grenna. You can see it's very taxing on Sarathil to do this.
Okay. I've suppressed the spread of these 3 in here. I'm going to have to move on now to the next room where there's a young boy. His parents seem to not feeling very well either.
Is
I can have. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, no, if the 2 of you pointing to 2 of the, you said there were 3?
4.
4. There are 4. Pointing to 2 out of the 4s. And if you can come with me, assist. In my practice, I would ask if you 3, gesturing the other 2 and Huron, try to see if you can remedy the damage that's been done here. If they're clean, I wouldn't want to have you affected by anybody that's still sick.
And do we know how far this sickness has spread yet?
It's safe to just make sure that everybody in this tavern is doing all right. If you have Detect Magic, I was planning on using that after I was finished with the couple in the next room. It's a familiar whiff of carcery that I could tell that those have been afflicted.
Ah, carcery. I know the scent well. It's more the sound of chitin on stone chittering away. If you'd like, I can start to sequester those that seem afflicted from out there into side rooms. I think the quicker we separate them from the clean ones, the better.
That works well. I agree.
And then we should probably speak with the tavern keeper, see if there's any regulars that might have got afflicted. And we can go make sure to find them as well. We need to do contract tracing. Anyone that's gotten ill, we have to see who they've been in contact with in the last 24 hours.
I also see that Governor Clay has issued a mass mandate.
Yes.
Perfect.
There is a vaccine. It is approved by the Quintarchy Medical.
Yep.
Made by, the Kaze vaccine.
Yes.
Okay.
They're closing indoor dining.
In this weather.
Okay. So, Kieran, you're going to check on the folks in the main tavern
Yes.
while Sarathil goes through the sick in the rooms.
Yeah.
Okay. Kieran, when you're out there, you can give me a medicine check.
Okay.
And you can approach the people however you would like to. And the tavern keeper.
No. 17.
Okay. That's not that bad.
It was almost a 25.
Looking at these folks, they seem, as far as you can tell, to be well enough right now. They have had, if they've had exposure, it's probably been minimal. That is probably simply might have subtly affected them. That might have some long-term ramifications, similar to Raphael's kind of slowing since he's been around one of these creatures. But none of them are demonstrating the mass exposure symptoms of any blistering or fevers. It'd be hard to tell if they've, without, just a general detect magic.
I believe I can cast detect magic to help in my search.
Yeah, I'd say if you use detect magic, you can very specifically identify who has any traces on them and quarantine them.
All right. So when he starts to identify those individuals, he says, friend, you look like you could use another drink. Please come back here with me.
All the free drinks tonight. All these free drinks. I've never had so many free drinks in my life.
If you could just come back here into this empty room.
Where am
we'll
I
have
going?
someone in with you, and Kieran throws him in, closes the door, and starts leading more.
Where's the free drink in here?
And every time he reopens the door with another individual, he goes, "It'll just be one moment. Don't worry.
They promise you a free drink too. Oh yes, they said I get a
lovely
free drink
ladies
in here.
coming in with some free drinks for you. Lovely individuals. Does the barkeeper exude?
Yeah. He of anyone in this outer area, he has the most on him.
Kieran stands 6 feet away from him and goes, "Barkeep, I apologize. What was your name?"
Arlo.
I think you should put that down. I imagine he's like pouring a drink or something. Your patrons are well inebriated enough, and I need you to come with me. And without like saying anything or anything, Kieran like gestures for him to go to one of the empty rooms. And as they're walking back, Kieran goes, "Are there any individuals, regulars of yours that haven't shown up yet that may have been in contact with those adventurers?"
Why I keep a record of everyone who comes in here.
A record?
Why?
Would you mind if I could see this record?
It's under the bar.
Very good. If you don't mind waiting in here. And I imagine Kieran would have tried to organize them in like the most infected to the least. And like almost like in like a row, like, from where Sarathil is, like the next door is the most affected and then down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, the people that you're quarantining right now, they have significantly less exposure than the folks that Sarathil is tending to. They're going to be relatively easy to treat, and to dispel the mana sickness.
Any individuals that are unaffected, that have no whiff of carcery, if
Yes.
there are any.
Yeah, there would be plenty of some of the patrons that were out in that area that just are clean and healthy.
Curon would make sure to, so he'd get the record book out, and then he might like poke his head out, and one of the guards he would motion in, hand him the record book, and go, "This is all the individuals that have been at the tavern. These folks should all be clean from the infection. If you could just get their name and location, just in case we can do a follow-up in 1 to 2 weeks to make sure that there's not any, they're not asymptomatic or anything like that." I'm sorry, I'm really.
I know it's
looking into this.
It's like I know you. It's like I'm like, oh, well, you know, it's not a virus. It's radiation poisoning. It's different, and it's like it's gonna be the same. Yeah, the guard absolutely, and you see Oriel would kind of confer with him and send him and another guard off to begin checking on people and also doing any administration on these folks that are leaving right now. I'd say it's about this time that the rest of the party shows up. You would show up right as Curon was sending that guard off with Oriel.
Hello, there you all are. So, it would appear friend Raphael inadvertently had these adventurers bring some of the negative magics of carcery into our lovely city. The adventurers tasked with the job seem to be exuding some kind of magical aura that is infecting all others and slowly killing them. There are a few patrons within that are more affected than others. I'll admit, when I called for your help, I thought the guards would be a little slower and you could kind of help corral. And I like to include everyone, you know? I want to make sure you feel useful.
I mean, I could still put some walls up or something if you want an extra layer.
I think we should be good. Everyone seems tame enough. The barkeep, for being quarantined himself, got everyone quite inebriated. Actually, Wiswick, you know some dispel magics, correct?
I think that's more your wheelhouse. I've got counterspell down pretty well.
Of course you do. Well, maybe you can assist Sarathil regardless. And Kaze,
did you happen to check yourself before you came out here and said hi?
For the radiation, I'm sure there's much worse things that afflict me right now. I have a bag full of cursed items. I cannot begin to think that I am not emanating some kind of negative effects, not against the ill will of anyone.
Speaking of which, and
yes,
I'm just gonna slip the sword in the bag holding.
Add to the collection.
Yeah.
But Kaze, any chance you have a recipe for restoration potion?
I think I could maybe pull that off. I don't know.
If anything else, you could head to Raphael's. I'm sure he would be more than happy to, or Maximilian's. I'm sure Raphael would be more than happy to give you the reagents you need, seeing as this is kind of his fault.
Okay.
Just saying, not trying to point the blame game. Scarlet, if you could go assist him.
If I get, let's say I get some potions and materials to make regeneration, potent potions, and then it might need to be blessed by Ilyuvania, because I imagine this is somewhat divine, or we need a divine agent to this. I don't know that much about that, but I can make the very basic vaccine.
Whatever you can manage.
You can give a boost early.
Hey everybody, let's all play Pandemic.
Yep.
I mean, I could maybe hop on this new carpet that I got and do like an overhead view. See if anybody else is feeling sick. You maybe just like make some rounds around the town. Is there anybody you want me to track down? Like maybe some what's it called bar employees that came in earlier?
The guards have already went off to search. The barkeep has a tight record of patrons, so they're going around to look. If you can use detect magic, those individuals inflicted with this disease exude a scent of carcery, as I'm sure we are all now familiar with.
Okay, I can use my
I'm actually, Sean, I'm gonna cast I'm gonna burn an extra level, I think it's 2nd level spell slot, to increase the range of my detect magic. And I'm gonna fly around on the magic carpet and just do like a queen sweep of like a couple of blocks in the surrounding area.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception check with that. With the help of the Graces and Kiran, you're in good shape to be helping the people who have low infection, who are just sort of mildly affected by it, who might be demonstrating fevers and mild symptoms. No rolls needed.
I got a 15.
Okay. With
Yeah,
a mile radius, you can definitely, what I would say is you can help the guards who are already searching for previous patrons.
Just to help you out, we're no longer doing a mile radius. We're doing just double of the feet, so it's 60 feet radius.
Okay. I'd say still, if you were to catch up with the guards who are starting to do rounds, you'd be a significant help in making sure that the folks that you find the right people who need help. Okay. Collectively, you're able to, with the help of the guards, the Graces, early detection, you're able to ensure that everything has been isolated to this bar. Wiswick and the guards are able to find a few folks who have mild symptoms. It seems like the concentration of these effects were pretty isolated to these adventurers and the immediate people near them. So the family that Sarathil is tending to right now with the Graces, and unfortunately, the folks who were in the rooms in between, who, upon finding them, they were too far gone. You would find in two rooms between the family and the adventurers, there are one person in each room who had already succumbed to the poisoning.
Nice.
But with swift action, these people are cured, or at least they are relieved of advancing symptoms. Sarathil, when you go into the child's room with their parents, they are pretty far into it. They are a little stronger than Grenna was, so they're holding back a little bit, but they're approaching her state. if you wouldn't mind giving me one last medicine check. I'll say with advantage because you have the 2 graces.
Let's go. 17. 17. 17.
Okay. With the graces' help, you are able to stave off death for these 2. It takes a lot out of you.
Yeah. But I feel probably by this point I'm like exhausted, so it's just gonna take longer each time.
Yeah. I would say it takes you most of the night to finish healing everyone with the help of the graces and Curon. By the end of it, I'd say Sarathil, you would have 2 levels of exhaustion with that last 17 roll. With the help of Curon and the graces, and I would say Timber and Scarlet are successful in getting reagents from Raphael to help along with this. You are able to contain this threat that is the result of just 3 adventurers wandering into the Chromatis hinterlands, being in the wrong place for too long, at the wrong time, and coming back. It demonstrates the intense threat of Carcery and the Chromatis hinterlands. And while over this last day in Vermalcia you received significant reminders of the dangers and horrors of the Pallid King, a chaotic but calculated monster. This is a stark reminder of the cataclysmic natural disaster that is the Harbinger in his presence. As you see 2 of these people going home or resting in the tavern, and 2 bodies are removed from the tavern. As Curon said, there's no rest for those who fight evil. And I think that's where we'll end tonight's session, on a super happy note.
What do you mean? We saved the town twice over in one night. There's got to be some sort of record.
It's pretty good. It's gonna give you some leverage when you're talking to the Duke of Endurus. But folks, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We've got plenty of other programming throughout the week. We have Relaxing in Paradise this Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I will be painting minis, drawing maps, doing things like that, and most definitely going to be playing a little Valheim, most likely. Sean and Shannon Power Hour returns this Sunday. I will be in Virginia visiting Shannon, so we will be together for that, which is cool.
Screen.
Once again, we're going to plug our good friends at Plot Hooks. Villagers is a supplement that has been out for a little while now, where there are NPCs who are secretly villains that you can supplement into your campaigns for a little bit of spice with your NPCs. Check it out. Our very own Stefan wrote 2 of the NPCs for this supplement. Check it out, and a lot of other friends to the show. This Friday is the finale of Arden Quest, which has been a 3-shot that Shannon and I have been playing in over on Roll for Damage, where I have been guiding them through the quest system in my homebrew science fantasy solarpunk setting of Arden. It's been very fun. They just prevented an evil corporation from stealing their new friend Oscar, the Corky. And Shannon's character may have done some unsuccessful betraying.
Yeah.
Which is probably for the best for her in the long run. But check it out. Please join us again next Monday for our 2-year anniversary where our heroes might actually get a full night's rest and a little bit of R&R, much deserved. But otherwise, thank you all for joining us, folks. We will hopefully see you very soon in our other programming. Shannon, who shall we raid tonight? I do see Waffles is on right now.
You read my mind, my friend. That is exactly who I was going to suggest.
All right, folks, we are going to rate our friends Waffle Maple Syrup, who are playing Pathfinder right now. Waffles is in the Friday night 3-shot Arden Quest. He plays a very interesting character called the Doctor. But we're going to go give them our love. You give them love as well. And we will see you all very soon. Have a lovely evening, day, wherever you are, time zones. Thank you for joining us in Paradise, and we hope you come back soon. Good night. Goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye.